Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome to our sixth webinar brought to you by Brandwin Business Support Limited as part of the Brent Community Action Plan. Now, Brent Council engaged Brandwin Business Support Services Limited to manage the Brent Community Action Plan programme to enable and strengthen the community leadership through building capacity, support the Black community through a programme to strengthen procurement opportunities and to provide support for employment and enterprise. If you're here for the first time as a business owner, it's not too late to get involved in this programme. We at Brandwin will assist you to adapt and innovate business models to suit the needs of your business via our one-to-one business sessions. I shall put my email in the chat later on so that you can get in touch, especially if you want to do the one-to-one sessions. Well, this evening's event, titled Develop Product and Services for Procurement, will be delivered by Nigel Grant, another consultant from Brandwin. He's a sales specialist. The evening itself will be split into several parts. The value proposition canvas, for those of you who attended last month's event titled Tender Business Model, Strategy and Innovation, they both work hand in hand. This will be followed by the sales enablement, which will bring together everything that we've, kind of understand so far. And our final section will be from Ruth Ann Lynch, who's one of the directors from the Pallets Yard, who will be sharing her experience, which I know will benefit all of us, okay? We will be recording this evening's event, so may I ask you to kindly remain on mute throughout the presentation to allow our guest speaker to be heard. I'm going to ask if you've got any questions for Nigel to kindly write them in the chat section, and I'll gladly share them with him. Okay, so please allow me to present our first speaker. Nigel Grant, our sales specialist. Over to you, Nigel.
Thank you very much, Elsa, and good evening, everybody. It's a great pleasure to be here and presenting this webinar to you. Here's a little bit, here's a little bit about me, and there should be a little bit about me happening. Interesting. Forgive me for a moment. We tested this about 3 or 4 minutes ago, and now we don't seem to be able to move the slideshow on, and I'm wondering why that might be. Would you just...
Nigel, can you come off the slideshow and share your screen again, please? Thank you. You press the escape button, you'll come off.
Okay. Apologies, everybody, for this. This is the first time this has happened like this. And I don't know why I'm... So let me try and reshare. Bear with me a further second. Okay, so let me go on to share screen. Share screen.
Yes, we can see you now. Can you try changing one slide, please?
I'm sorry, this is stuck there. The only what else can I suggest that we do here now? So it is come out completely.
Yeah, I think you're going to have to come out completely and come back in, please.
I apologize for this, folks. We literally tested it about 3 or 4 minutes ago, and now we don't seem to be able to get it to work. So would you just give me a second, please?
No problem, Nigel.
Okay, so I don't mind just speaking for a while, just so that everybody can be more familiar with the program. Now, we started the program back in January, where we had the initial launch, and then also that was followed by Rajesh from Brent, who actually talked about the whole procurement process. And then my colleague Nosha came in and he gave us the first step and the second step in relation to the procurement, how to actually put everything together and move forward, especially if you wanted to gain access to the contracts, either through Brent or other suppliers. And then the last one that we did last month, which was myself, I actually went through the business model canvas. What I will say, you haven't lost anything. We have all the recordings. So again, once I put my email into the chat, you know, I can always forward them to you. So over to you, Nigel. Okay. Okay, looks like we're still having some technical hitches at the moment. So yeah, let's just see if there's anything anybody wants to say in the chat at this moment.
Nigel, you okay?
Okay, firstly, can you hear me?
Yes, we can, Nigel.
Okay.
Okay, Nigel, don't do anything yet, please. Just lay off. I'm going to make you the host first. If you try to put your screen up before you're the host, there'll be a problem again. So hold on a second.
Okay.
What I will
now you can press share screen and give it a go, please.
Okay. I haven't got the share screen option showing. That's the
you must do. You are the host. Okay, why don't I share my screen and I'll help you with the presentation. Okay, so I'm going to do that now. Can you see my screen, please? Nigel, you're on mute. Elsa, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can, but you need to put it into presentation mode.
I will in a minute. But
yeah.
Nigel, can you see my screen and can you get yourself off mute, please?
Yeah, okay, so I'm off mute and I can see your screen.
Okay, let's start, please. Next slide. Right.
Okay, well, well done, everybody. Here we are. got there in the end. I apologize for that delay. So this is just a little bit about me. I've worked in and with businesses looking at doing exactly what you are seeking to do through this whole program. I've had 4 decades in sales. I now work with small business owners to help them effectively sell and prospect and approach the types of clients and customers that they're looking for. So in your case, it's the tier 1s, possibly the tier 2s, local authorities. And I've presented through the Brandwin organization a number of these webinars now, usually with quite a successful start. And hopefully you will gain from this the type of information that people are gleaning from the webinars that we are presenting. If you would like to move on, please. Thank you. So here's the agenda. Effectively, my part splits into 2. I'm going to be looking at the value proposition canvas, and then I'm going to be looking at something called sales enablement. We're going to be doing some exercises as we go through the webinar presentation, and they're designed to help you apply the learning and get the best value out of the time that you're spending now. I think the thing to bear in mind here is that we're going to be covering concepts in minutes rather than the hours that we might spend with individual clients, and that getting this right could be quite vital to your success. I also just want to linger for a second on the agenda, not so much because I don't think you can read the agenda, but just because it introduces some concepts, some words there that we are going to return to very frequently throughout the entire presentation. So jobs to be done, pains and gains, pain relievers and gain creators, and then we're going to talk about your products and services, outcomes, and revisit jobs to be done. If you could move on, please, Nauza. So this is where we are in the whole fit to bid sequence. We are now at section 4 here. So if you have been following the program, you can see on the left-hand side, you will have done items 1 and 2, and then the most recent one would have been about bidding skills. And we're at section 4 now, which is about sales enablement. And the design here is to help you prepare and bid and win new and larger contracts than you might be at the moment. Yes, please, Nauza. I just want to refer to this diagram, which is a subsection of the value proposition canvas. So if you've been following the program, you will have seen the business model canvas and the various sections that splits down into. This is all about desirability. And desirability is really about to what extent are potential customers likely to want what you are offering. And that's absolutely vital. Otherwise, you are not going to be generating any business. If you look at the left-hand square on the desirability box, you'll see that that's all about your proposition, how you're going to help local authorities and tier 1s, how you're going to help them be better off, and you better know this. You're going to need to know about what value you deliver to them and the problems that you solve for them and the needs that you satisfy. We're going to get into all those terms a little bit later on. The right-hand circle is about your customer and what they are trying to achieve, if you like, the gains that they are trying to make, what might be stopping that, the pains that they are suffering, and what jobs they are trying to get done, what they are trying to do in order to deliver on their objectives and goals. And this is very much about becoming outcome orientated with regards to their objectives and goals, so that you know the results and the measurables that they want to have from what they are doing. Yes, please, Nauza. So let's have a look now in a little bit more detail at value proposition designed. And this is designed to be an introduction and just look at the key terms, some of which we've already met, and we've got that central diagram which goes back to the value proposition canvas. Ultimately, we're going to deconstruct everything and then put it back together so that you've got something meaningful to work with. We're going to do it with exercises, and this will help you integrate and engage with your customers, with the local authorities and upper tier prospects, to focus on those areas that are most likely to be of success to you, to differentiate from competitors, and to align with customers and what they want to achieve. And that's a concept that we're going to come back to time and time and time again. And if you look on the slide, we've got the 6 terms there that we already pointed out in the agenda. So we've got customer jobs, customer pains, and customer gains. So that's on the right-hand side. And then on the left-hand side, we've got the products and services, pain relievers, and gain creators. And as we go through the deconstruction of this, we're going to embark on some exercises, and then we're going to bring it all back together again so you see how it fits. So let's get on with the ride and start looking at this through the lens of jobs to be done. Now, jobs to be done is a phrase that's come into the business development lexicon in recent years, and I think it encapsulates quite a lot of things, and we're certainly using it as a point of focus throughout this webinar and some of the other information that you are going to be getting. And jobs to be done is really to look at what your customer is trying to get done so that they will achieve the outcomes that they want to see, that they seek. So we need to think in terms of what are they trying to achieve. We need to think in terms of what problems they're trying to solve. We need to think in terms of the needs that they are trying to satisfy. And what all this helps you do is look at the big outcomes that they're seeking. It helps you and the customer focus on important and meaningful issues that they want to get sorted. If you don't know what they are, then start asking. You may need to help them identify what those jobs to be done are, especially where they relate to your product or service. And this could be just simply helping them do more jobs or a more important job, doing something incrementally better, or the golden aim is something radically better. And if you can get them to dramatically outperform, and the general number here is 20% or better, what they are doing, then you should be absolutely in pole position to get business. Yes, please, Nauza. So what we want to do is move away from the thing that everybody focuses on, which is their own products and services. And I'm going to give you something later in the presentation, which will be an aid memoir for that, to what the job to be done story is all about. So let me use a personal example, and I hope this illustrates exactly what a job to be done is. About a month ago, for a private client, I needed to be in Birmingham. It was actually to be at the NEC, where I was helping them at an exhibition. So I needed to be in Birmingham. What is the job to be done? Well, the job to be done is simply get me to Birmingham. So that's the clarity with which you need to identify with clients the job that they need to be get done. And we need to look at measurable outcomes. So it's not just simply, did I get there, but there are subsidiary jobs that might need to be done. So for example, getting me there on time, getting me there comfortably, feeling fresh with all my work stuff. And what are the products or services that we might apply to this? Well, these are literally the vehicles, and that's a little bit of a metaphor, that will get me to Birmingham. So the vehicle that gets the job done, it could be train, it could be me driving, it could be somebody else driving. I could fly, I could go on a donkey, I could walk or run there. In fact, I actually met somebody whilst I was there who is an ultra marathon runner and runs 100 miles at a time. And from where I was to Birmingham was 95 miles. So theoretically that'd be done. You've got to remember, this is literally the vehicle that gets the job done. This is the product or service that you have to design and supply to get your customer to engage with you. Yes, please, Nauza. So the jobs to be done are literally what make users want to buy your product or service. And we're going to look very, very closely at how this matches up. They could be different types of jobs. They could be functional jobs, which are the ones you might automatically think about, the things that are going to help them complete a specific task or solve a specific problem. They could equally be social jobs, looking good, having status, being professional. They could be personal and emotional jobs. And people frequently, it is said, will buy on emotion and then justify with logic thereafter. So those things need to be looked at too. And with CSR policies, we could be talking about environmental jobs, sustainability, net zero. So all those sorts of things are important. But let's start with an exercise. So this is going to be the starting point in the thought processes that we will go through. So you should have been sent this beforehand. If you haven't, then just do it on a separate piece of paper. And if you look on the left-hand side, you'll see it says jobs important. And this is where I want you to start off jotting down what you think right now are the jobs that your potential customers need to get done. And this can start off as things that you can help them with, and it can also be the bigger things that they might want to get done. Now, it's important that you engage with these exercises because it will start you thinking, it will get you thinking about the content of this webinar, and it will help reinforce the lessons that you are either consciously or subconsciously learning. So I want to spend about 1.5 minutes now. I'm going to keep relatively quiet for you to look at this first exercise and go through the jobs to be done that you currently think your customers, your potential customers, will be wanting to get completed. So let's go with jotting some things down. So what maybe is the one thing your customer couldn't live without? What are the things that are stepping stones on the way to help your customer achieve that? What tasks or functional problems are your customers trying to get done or trying to solve? And think about what I was saying about buying on emotion. What emotional needs are your customers trying to satisfy? What will give them a sense of self-satisfaction? Excuse me. We'll spend another 30 seconds on this. Okay, just another 10 seconds. Okay, so that is a starting point for you to have jotted down 3 or 4 things, maybe more, maybe you've got half a dozen of the jobs that you feel a customer or prospect of yours wants to get done that you need to relate to or can relate to. So if we can move on, please, Nauza. So let's look at one of the other terms that we had at the beginning of the webinar, and we talked about customer pains. So customer pains, and we're going to move on to customer gains, is a way of helping your customer or your prospect identify the jobs that they want to get done. And this is why you need to know what the customer is wanting to achieve and how they're trying to do it. Maybe you need to do some research into this to find out. Maybe the customer themselves doesn't know exactly what their pains are. These are things also that your customers are looking at trying to do to sell yourself and to sell themselves to the upper tiers. And how can you help them do that? So customer pains are those things that annoy your customer before, during, or after getting a job done. They're things that get in the way. They're risks that they may be taking. Customer pains are things that they want less of. So they are undesired outcomes, unintended consequences. They're the risks in what they want to do. So let's look now back at the chart, and in the center, we've got pain severity. And what I want you to do now is to continue with this exercise and start jotting down some of those pains. So we're beginning to break down into a little bit more detail the jobs to be done that we started off with a few moments ago, some of those pains that a potential customer is suffering, that you hope when we get to looking at products and services, you are going to be able to help satisfy and deal with. And it is absolutely vital that you look to identify these, because these are the things that your products and services are going to be aimed at. So again, let's take a minute and a half on this to start jotting down some of those pains that you feel you can identify that a customer has. So it may be things that are costing them too much, either financially or just simply lots and lots of time. Can you identify some of the main difficulties and challenges that your customers encounter? Are there risks that they quite literally fear? Are they afraid of financial risks or social risks or technical risks? What keeps them awake at night? Are there any common or regular mistakes that they are making and that they know they are making? Let's spend a bit more time on this. Maybe just another 20 seconds. Jot down your final thoughts. Okay, so if we could move on, please, Nauza. On a much more positive note, and it's always great to be positive, let's, in the same way, look at customer gains. And as customer pains were those things they wanted less of, gains are those things that they want more of. So it could be things that they expect to get or need to get, or just simply require to get in terms of making their own business work. Functional gains, social gains, the positive emotions that they may well be looking to enjoy. So let's move on to the exercise. You know where we're going with this. So on the right-hand side now, you've got the opportunity to start jotting down some of the gains that your customers very definitely will be wanting to have. They're not trying to do things other than primarily to gain. And start looking at where those gains are, keeping half an eye on where you might particularly be able to help them. So where could they make gains in terms of time and money and effort? What would make their lives easier? Are there positive social consequences? Let's spend a minute on this. Again, very, very important. Excuse me. Just another 20 seconds. Okay, so on that slide, you've got some very, very basic ideas jotted down now. And we're going to look at how you use those ideas and what the value of having those ideas is. And that's all around market fit. And you achieve a fit in your market when customers get excited, get interested in your value proposition. And I'm afraid it is a well-known statistic that a large number of businesses fail because there's either no market need or no perceived market need. And this is what you're aiming at, is working to a market need, a market fit. And this is a phrase I used a little bit earlier, which is alignment, and that's aligning with what customers want to achieve. And you have to make the connection with what customers want to achieve. You have to make the connection between your products and services and what they want to do. Because if you don't, who will? They certainly won't. If they were making that connection, they would be on the phone to you straight away, asking to buy whatever it is you're offering. And it's only when and if you get a market fit that you have the opportunity to pitch or compete for business. We all set up our businesses, products or services, work hard, and sometimes hope for the best. But if you're not getting a fit, this is what designing products and services is all about. Take your focus off of you, put it on the customer, take a step back. It's not about you, it's about the customer. During the pandemic, the phrase or the word pivot was used quite a lot. And this is exactly what we're talking about now. And there may be different customers that you need to look at within one organization. And looking at that in market fit, looking at how it's going to work best is something that we will move on to. But let's look right now at the basic ways of achieving a market fit by exploring pain relievers and gain creators. So this is where with pain relievers, you need to look back at the pains we were talking about a few minutes ago that your customers may well be suffering from, and how you can now bring relievers to those pains to help create a market fit. So we've looked at pains, we've looked at why you need to create a market fit, and this is now methodology to help you do that. You need to decide what you can supply to help counteract the pains and to build on the gains. It's to help support customers get their jobs to be done, help them achieve their desired outcomes. So let's move on to the exercise. Thank you very much. This is the central column here because I shuffled it about a little bit. So look at the central column, pain relievers. And let's have a look at the things that you know you can supply to your customers that will help relieve their pains. So is it a product or service that is going to help them produce savings? Can you quantify that? Is it something that's going to help them fix underperforming solutions by introducing something new to them? Is it something that will help eliminate the risks that your customers fear? So we're moving on to positives here, which is about you designing the products and services that are going to give you that market fit. And it's time very well spent here looking at this. Start stimulating and putting down your thoughts. We're going to spend, give you at least a minute on this. Forgive me, I've got a little bit of a cold, so just holding it back. Pain relievers is not just about what we already do, but it could and should be about what are we going to do? What could we be doing to match client needs? Maybe just another 20 seconds on this. So let's move on to gain creators. So exactly the same positive way of looking at what we are going to provide to a customer or potential customer. And that is, what are the things that we can do that are going to help them gain? So just look at that first sentence, top left. Gain creators describe how your products and services create customer gains. They explicitly outline how you're going to create the benefits that your customer expects and desires. So we're looking at gain creators. What can you provide that's going to be the market fit for what your customers or potential customers want? So if we go back to the exercise or onto the exercise. So on the right-hand side, we're looking at gain creators. You know the format by now. Start jotting down those things that you know your product or service provides that is in direct support of what a customer is looking to gain. Is it savings? Are there financial benefits? are the things that they dream about, that they want to get done, that they want to achieve? Can you make their life easier? Again, really focusing on the gains that you are providing to a customer or potential customer is pretty vital in products and services design and gaining a market fit. Let's spend another 30 or 40 seconds on this. Okay, maybe another 10 or 15 seconds. Good. So we bring it all together under products and services. And this is the reality of designing or amending, adapting, pivoting your products and services to add to your existing proposition, but in direct relation to what customers or potential customers might want. You may well have started with an idea or a plan, but this is an opportunity to review it, to rebuild, to recover. And a plan is only as good as far as it goes. The army says a plan only works up to the point where you engage with the enemy. I'm not suggesting customers are the enemy, but you might like to think of that. Or that great philosopher and business guru, the boxer Mike Tyson, says everyone has a plan until they are punched in the face. And if you've been around for a little while, even as a new business, you might actually feel like you've been punched a few times, perhaps not in the face. So take that opportunity, take what we're doing today to evaluate the products and services that you are providing to customers. And if you want to have a productive, creative, circular activity, keep returning to those pains and gains, and then the pain relievers and the gain creators to test your market fit and devise the products and services that you want. And we've got the exercise for this, so if we could move on, please, Nauza. So on the left-hand side now, looking at bringing together the things that we've been talking about and listing those products and services that either you do supply, that you know are pain relievers or gain creators. So the two columns on the right-hand side here. Or start listing those things that you feel you should be doing and could be doing that are pain relievers and gain creators. And I would hope that that will throw up some ideas in terms of how you can evolve your products and services. What the first half of this webinar has been about, which is products and services design in relation to what your customers want. Let's just have another 20 seconds. Okay, so let's now really focus on bringing everything together and that value proposition fit, the products and services, the pains, the gains, the relievers, the creators, how you are bringing everything together. And this is as much a takeaway exercise as anything, though by all means start jotting things down. What we've been focusing on is what value do we deliver to clients? What customer problems do we solve? What needs are we satisfying? What outcomes that the customer wants to achieve can we identify? What jobs to be done do they have that we can help them with? An absolute key phrase here in terms of value proposition how is the customer better off by engaging with us? And that is so important. I'm just literally going to repeat it. How is the customer better off by engaging with us? And that's your value proposition fit in a nutshell. Just to finish off on this section, if we could do the next quick slide, please, Nauza. It's just have a look at 5 things which are hints and tips in terms of summarizing this first half of the webinar. It's to look at separate building blocks, what you design and what you see in terms of customer wants. Don't mix up customer segments, look at them separately. We're going to cover that in sales enablement a bit. Do look at customer segments before building your value proposition. So this is where you're working out what customers want. Remember, there are jobs other than just simply functional jobs. There are emotional jobs. And also, don't try and do everything a customer might need, because you will just send yourself crazy. And we're going to look at some focus in sales enablement to help you do that. So that's the first half of the webinar. We'll now move on to sales enablement. And what is it? What is sales enablement? Well, sales enablement is what is going to help you move from the product design work we've just been doing into the reality of exposing your products and services into a marketplace where they might be bought. If you're involved with this, it's getting the right products and services in front of the right customers and clients in situations where they're most likely to buy. If you're using terms like marketing and selling, it's the link between marketing and selling. It's moving from marketing to selling. Because I would always ask, what is whatever you call marketing doing to help create sales? Remember, I am a sales guy. In sales talk, marketing equals prospecting. It's helping you have that effectiveness and taking what we've done so far to position it ready for you to move into your marketplace. There's 3 key concepts in sales enablement, and they're going to be covered in this session. And what I would say, it's going to help you find a niche, and sales enablement niche and jobs to be done is that convergent point of focus between supplier and purchaser. So sorry now, so I just had a little bit to say there before you moved on. Let's move on to the first key concept. And that is segmenting and ideal clients. You cannot focus on everybody. You may well say, well, anybody who comes to me, I'm happy to sell to. That may well be the case, but you have very, very limited resources, both in terms of time and money and energy. And it's really helpful when we're in business to get some focus on our ideal clients. And this is not just looking at existing clients, so that might be a good point, but it's also looking at who we want to aim at. And also about what marketplaces our key customers operating in. And a marketplace is a group of people and the jobs they're trying to get done. Is it an identifiable marketplace? Is it distinguishable? Is it stable and constant? Is it valid for long-term value creation? Because why would you do something that might only be valid for the next few months when you've put all your resources into it, looking more long-term? And I'm very much about focusing on outbound prospecting, and that's identifying who the people are that you would want to focus on. And there's a concept called account-based marketing, where you build a silo, if you like, and dig deep into a selected number of ideal clients and find out everything about them so that you can focus your efforts on those. So how are we going to have a look at doing that? Well, if we move on, please, Nauza. One of the key things we're going to look at, so the second key concept, is about client situations. And the the thing to realize here is it is that situations are what reveal customer needs, because customers don't always recognize that they have a need. And frequently you will come across situations where you are supplying something that you know is ideal for the customer, but the customer doesn't recognize it. They will, however, recognize situations they are in. And if you look at the bottom two bullet points on the left-hand side there, I mentioned right at the beginning, I'd give you an aid memoir, and I call it the X factor. And look here at what I've done very cleverly. I've turned the second N in content to the X in context. So I've changed the N to the X. That's your X factor. Your content is you wanting to talk about all those things you want to talk about your business, but they have no value to the customer unless they are in context of what the customer needs. So I think I made it up, but I think it's a great aid memoir to be thinking in terms of the context of the customer and looking at situations which are triggers or events or catalysts. These might be things like people who are coming in and out of the business, especially at a high level, new CEOs, new managing directors, whether your tier ones have won some contracts or indeed lost some contracts. If you know they've won contracts, you can go to them because you're recognizing a situation that they will have that may reflecting a need where they're not making the connection. Situation itself may not be a problem, but if they don't do something about it, that may become the problem. And that's where we've got that X factor to help you. So what I want to do is to move on to an example, an exercise where you begin to look at situations that could exist for your key potential clients, local authorities, large buyers, the tier ones, that might alert them to a need for you. In the same way as we jotted down before, start jotting down situations that key customers could be in where you are supplying into their needs. What situations do they find themselves in, or could they find themselves in, that you help them with, that your product or services helps them with? Think about events and circumstances. Think about outside the examples that I've given you already. Let's just take a minute on this. Key to helping you identify where to go with your limited resources. Take another 30 seconds on this. And I absolutely urge you to keep working on this exercise, keep working on this exercise, keep working on this exercise to identify where your product or service is going to fit, and help a client identify where they might have a need for your product or service. Okay, now, so if we could move on. So the third key concept is to now refocus on outcomes and the value proposition that we had talked about all the way through the first half of the webinar. We've called this a number of things. We've called it value proposition. We've called it jobs to be done. We've called it relieving pains, creating gains. And this isn't about features or benefits of your product, because you need to know how they're going to match the outcomes that your customers are going to want. That simple definition, how is a customer better off by engaging with you? How do you help them achieve outcomes, which might be simple things like making some money to keep going? reducing costs, increasing productivity, those other outcomes that they may well be looking for, environmental or CSR or net zero. If you don't know what outcomes your customers are seeking, pretty much they won't. So you do not know what you are going to be aiming at. And a step further beyond this is to help quantify the value that you add, that you are, how you are making the customer better off. And do outcomes first, so you build your proposition backwards from that. Do jobs to be done first, so you build your proposition back from that. Take a walk in the customer's shoes. Think about it from their perspective. And outcomes and needs that clients want to have. So it is important to know them. So if we can move on then, Nauza. So I'm nearly finished here. Sales enablement, I've talked about the combination of sales enablement and jobs to be done, and that is your niche focus. So here we've got the three things, which is the ideal client, situation they be in, and the outcomes that they are looking to achieve. And the center of that eye is the jobs to be done, where you can supply in to the customer your product or service that is going to match what they are wanting to do, what they are trying to do. And please remember that X factor, that aid memoir, content versus context. So moving on, please, Nauza. This is my penultimate slide. So this is your summary and takeaway here. The things that we talked about in green on the left-hand side, we talked about jobs to be done that customers want to get. And we talked about how the customer is better off by engaging with you on the right-hand side. So what we have covered this evening is value proposition design along with the value proposition canvas. We looked at the basic canvas model. We looked at components for jobs to be done. We've looked at pains and gains and the subsequent pain relievers and gain creators. We've looked at how that helps you get a market fit and all of that so that you can design products and services that will succeed in the marketplace. And then we looked at sales enablement, which is moving from marketing to sales to be able to apply your value proposition, to be able to put that proposition to jobs to be done. The three key concepts: ideal customer, situations they could be in, and the outcomes they want to achieve, and jobs to be done. And all this brought together to bring you a key focus. Just want to give you a very, very quick anecdote. And it is somebody I was working with last year. We were doing a lot of group work and we were talking about marketing and sales and business development. And this woman said to me, or she said to everybody in the group, look, I don't really know much about marketing. I just try and find out what customers want and then give it to them. If you wanted to simplify everything we have said over the last, whatever it's been, 50 minutes, then that would be it. So my final slide, please, Nauza. And this is for you to make a commitment to yourself. And I want you to do this now. I want you to do this as a personal contract and take from everything that we've been discussing over the past 45, 50 minutes, 3 actions, write them down now that you are going to take in the next literally 2 to 4 weeks tops that are going to help move your business on in this particular aspect of the program that Brandwin are delivering for you. Let's just take 1 minute for you to jot down the top 3 actions that you're going to take, contract and commit to. Final 20 seconds. I don't want to belittle this. This is how you move forward from having spent time this evening in this part of the program. Okay, that's me done. I'm around for Q&A. I'm just going to hand over now to Elsa, who's going to run you through the balance of the program and other things that you can be doing. I'm going to go on mute so I can cough away to my heart's content. And over to you, Elsa.
Well, Nigel, thanks very much. I just really want to really happy for all that you've shared today and how it actually fits in for what we've done so far. And to actually end it on a really simple note, I think it really does actually help everyone listening how much and how easy I think it is for you to actually take on board what we've been saying over the past few weeks. Okay, so moving forward, as you see, tonight was design and develop products and services for procurement. Well, our next meeting will be on the 24th of May, where we'll be looking at LinkedIn. And this for me is key because a lot of the businesses that, and a lot of you that are here tonight will know that how much I actually focus on LinkedIn and think that that's definitely an area that you do need to improve. So please don't miss that session at all. The person that's presenting it will just blow your mind, but you'll actually get a lot from that session. And then our final webinar will be on the 7th of June, the circular economy and developing key partnerships, which you and I know how important that is at this time. So that's the actual program going forward. Don't forget your one-to-ones, and I will put my email in the chat in a minute so that for those that haven't met with me, you can actually do that. Can I have the next slide, please, now, sir? Okay, and oh, okay, wait, okay. So yeah, that's to say thank you from both Nigel and myself, but it's not the end of the program because what I'd like to do, just want to check, are we doing questions and answers now, or we're going to move on to our next speaker?
I think we should move on to our next speaker. Okay. So if I could just if you give me a minute, I will make the changes happen.
Yeah, and
we can take questions after as well, no problem.
Brilliant, thanks very much, Nauza. Well, our next speaker is Ruth Ann Lynch. She's the Business Administration Director of the Pallets Yard Limited. She part owns that company with her husband, Ian, and he is the Parts Operation Director. The business started in 2013. They attended our workshops and took advantage of the one-to-one sessions that were being offered. We were able to assist them in the areas of finance and the circular economy. This in turn increased their sales by partnering with other trade suppliers. So what I'd like to do at this moment, if Ruth is ready, is to pass this session over to Ruth. Ruth, are you ready?
Ruth Ann, can you unmute yourself and put your camera on, please? Right.
Thanks very much, Ruth. I'll hand it over.
Hi, Ruth Ann. I'm going to make you the host now, and then we'll just go through sharing your screen, okay?
Okay,
so
great.
Just give me a minute. Right, you are now the host. Now, if you can open up or share your screen, if you can press the green share screen button and share your PowerPoint. If you can close every other program on your PC, that would help. Great, we can see your screen. And if you can make it to full screen, please. Perfect. No, that's the button at the bottom, the full screen button at the bottom. That's perfect, Ruth Ann. Thank you. Over to you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Hello, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ruth Lynch, and I'm a director of the Pallets Yard Limited. And as it says, we buy and supply recycled pallets. So who are we and what do we do? As I said, I am the director. I run it with my partner, Ian Leander, and we're based in Southall in Ealing. Ian deals with the operational stuff, i.e. the pallets on the truck and getting it to where it needs to go to, and I deal with all the legal, accountancy, everything back office. And that is really important because no matter what you're doing, you must sort out your paperwork and all the stuff that goes with running a business. I'm just going to tell you a little about what we do and provide a few useful, or what I would like to think are useful business tips, which I hope that you can enact or certainly think about in the future. Now, the Pallets Yard Limited is an SME. We buy and supply affordable second-hand pallets. Now, just in case you don't know what a pallet is that wooden structure upon which people store or transport goods. The same goods that you're eating, drinking, lying on, they all have to be transported around the UK and the world on this pallet. It can be plastic or it could be wooden. So anyway, pallets are essential for the safe and hygienic storage and transportation of goods around the world. It's happening all the time while you're sleeping and you will never know. Now, they also have become a popular source of recycled wood for creative and DIY projects. So people are busy making garden furniture and decking and all manner of things with these pallets. To help businesses create business space or to empty their valuable commercial space, they'll also call us and ask us to remove pallets that have been used for bringing things in, but they don't really want it in their yard. So we'll go and collect it from them. Now, we get good pallets, which you can just turn around and give to someone else, sell to someone else, but you also get broken pallets. Depending on how broken they are, we can fix them. And so we will also collect, are interested in having damaged pallets, which we will extend their lifespan by simply repairing them. If a part of it is missing, we will just put it on. And we get these pieces from other pallets. We'll break them up and store them to provide these parts for the pallets. So this wood is just being recycled over and over again and not ending up in landfill. Our main customers are wholesalers, retailers, larger pallet yards in the UK and Europe, and DIY enthusiasts. And we constantly strive to deliver consistent quality, great customer services, and excellent value at affordable prices. Now that sounds like a big mouthful, but if you take it into bits, that is what you should be doing. Consistent quality, giving great customer service, excellent value at prices that people can afford and are willing to pay. So I've recently discovered that we are part of the circular economy. It's not that we weren't before, it's just I never had put a name to it. And that really means looking to reduce wastage, reuse, and recycle stuff versus what normally happens, which is take, make, and throw away. Essentially stopping all the wood that we're involved with ending up in landfills. So as part of the circular economy, TPYL, which is what I shorten the name to, minimizes waste by repairing, reusing, and recycling pallets, which helps or does our part in helping to preserve the environment. We repair these damaged pallets at our Southall pallet yard. This extends their lifespan, as I said before, minimizes waste, and we do this by reclaiming the timber from other broken pallets. So a pallet might be broken, but we could still use it to repair another one. Again, pallets have now become a popular source of recycled wood, and believe it or not, I just heard that in Europe, because of the gas problem, they're burning the pallets. So there is a whole new market for pallets in Europe. Who knew? Any unusable wood, i.e. we can't do anything with it, we can't repair anything with it, is then sent for mulching, for use in gardens, and as a renewable energy source. So I have a few business tips to give you. I don't say that I'm a guru in everything, but experience and time have shown that there's certain things you need to be getting right, or certainly thinking about. And some of these things you won't be able to enact immediately, but you still need to be aware of them. So when the time is right, you can think, I do remember this is something I should be doing, I should be storing, I should be making a note of, so that when the time is right, I can enact them. For people who are starting a business, those who are even in the business, you need to know who you are and exactly what you do or want to do. The want to do bit perhaps refers more to people who are starting. But every now and again, when people are telling you should be doing this, you should be that, you need to go back to the drawing board. What is it? What sort of company am I? What do I do? What is it I want to continue doing? All the other stuff is perhaps when I grow bigger, I might be able to do, but we need to concentrate on what we're doing now and do it well. You need to write this down and refer to it as frequently as possible, because you will be asked this when you're filling in forms for grants and that sort of thing. The first thing they ask you is, what do you do and how do you do it? So make sure you have a paragraph of 2 which describes exactly what you do and how you do it, because you will have to put this in writing to someone soon to apply for something. Don't be making it up as you go along. Have it there. You can refer to it and update it if things change, but always have something that looks professional that you can use, in an instant. You need to know and remind yourself of your business sector. We operate in transport and logistics, as well as secondhand pallets. So there are a few sectors that we operate in. We do not do pharmaceuticals. We may work and provide pallets to pharmaceutical companies, but we are not in that sector. And there's certain things that you need to be aware of when you work in certain sectors. You need to know who your main customers are and suppliers. As was said before, you don't accept everybody. You can try, but you'll find in the end you have to sort of narrow it down a bit to who you're going after, particularly for marketing purposes. Who are you going after? As well as who is supplying you. You need the suppliers who are helping your business to manufacture, to do the bits that you need it to do. Not every Tom, Dick, and Harry is the best supplier. And always remembering, the cheapest is not necessarily the best either. Sometimes you do have to spend a little bit more to get the quality that you're telling other people that you are providing in the stuff that you're offering. You won't know everything. It doesn't matter how many degrees you've got. You can never, and I can tell you this from experience, be an expert on HR, legal stuff, accounting, health and safety, and that sort of thing. You may get by as a smaller company because you don't have a lot of staff, or you're not dealing in a big space or whatever. After a while, you will need help. And even if you're a lawyer, you will not have full accountancy help. You may have some information, but somewhere along the way, you're going to have to bring in an accountant or a bookkeeper or something like that. Definitely, you need some health and safety experience and advice from someone. Do not be afraid to ask for this help. Sometimes it comes to begin with as free help. After a while, it may cost you, but it is better to pay the money and get the help that you need rather than to come up with an expensive bill because you did not follow some requirement that is required of a business. I can only keep telling you to think about it and do it as soon as you can afford to do so. Again, you don't know everything about business operations. Even if you have all those skills I just mentioned, it is always good to have a trusted business mentor. Noza, who is hosting this, became my business mentor when I attended a finance course. I understood that he knew what he was talking about and that he could be very helpful to me. We've become friends, but more than everything, he has helped our business to grow to where it is now. We do have other mentors, but he is the person who got us down the road of better business practice. And that cannot be paid for. You need to have somebody on board who is supporting you all the way. Having said all of that, business advice is great, but still exercise caution. There'll be a lot of people offering you business advice. You'll meet them in networking events. You'll meet them as a friend or colleague of your advisor. It'll be your friends and your family. They always have great business advice, or think they do. Some of it is good, some of it needs to be parked, and some needs to be entirely ignored. Make a list of them, and then you decide what will work for you. And always remember that what won't work for you now may actually be fine next week or next month. So advice is not necessarily bad. It might be, it's not something you can do now, but remember it when you can. There's some advice you just need to think, that's not what I do, don't want to get involved in it, and that's the end of. Just say politely, thank you, I'm getting mistaken. Just say politely, thank you, and move on. Network. You'll be amazed by the numerous useful contacts out there. You will meet them just in chance going to dinner. You'll meet them at networking events, join up different associations. They will have Zoom meetings. They'll have all manner of things. You don't have to attend everything. Find the one that best suits the things that you need to know, and others which that might be interesting and you never know, might learn something. Attend it if you can. If not, but don't spend all your time attending Zoom meetings, because that can also take up a great deal of your time. choose selectively, and you'll meet people via LinkedIn, these networking events, and physical contact. I know from experience, good decisions are rarely made under pressure. If someone rings you up and says, this is the best offer you'll ever have, you got to sign now, don't think about it, you'll miss an opportunity, unless you have the information and can make that decision soundly, don't. It usually ends up in tears. If someone says something is too good to miss, you need to think about that. That's the first thing to make you wonder, really, is it? If someone has presents you with a great idea, don't say necessarily no, just send me an email. I never get information on the phone. I always tell people, put it in writing and send it to me in an email. Then I have time to consider it, to pass it on to my mentor, to talk to a friend about it. Do your due diligence and seek a trusted second opinion before you put pen to paper, sign any contract, commit yourself to anything, or pay any money, which is usually at the end of all of this, there's some money to be paid. Make dead sure of the soundness. You'll make mistakes, there will be issues, but you can reduce the number of errors you're going to make if you do your due diligence. And no matter how helpful they are, your family and friends should never, ever be your main customers. If your main customers are made up of your mom, your father, your cousin, and the man down the road, your business is not going to work. They can never bring in enough custom for your business today. I'm not saying ignore them, of course. Offer them stuff and make sure they pay for it. You might give them a discount, but no, do not set up your business going, I know this is going to work because my mom and dad are going to buy everything that I ever sell. And the other thing to think about is who are you employing? A lot of times you can't afford to bring in professional help. You've got to start off with your cousin and your sister and whatever. But think about it. If you're related to the person, it's very hard to tell them off or to say you're really not doing what I want you to do. And it's harder to sack them too. So you know what? Think about it. Get the help and use it when you can, but when it's time to bring in the professionals, do so. Again, using your due diligence. Back office tips. Always promote your business professionally using your website, LinkedIn, Facebook, business cards, whatever you're doing there, do it professionally. Try to unlink your personal Facebook and Instagram from your business. People will not only look at your business stuff, they'll also look at you in your fancy red dress on top of the wall drinking a beer, and they will make all sorts of judgments. That is fine if you're dealing with, I'm a great person, I have fun, and different if you're dealing, I'm a professional person you want to buy stuff from, and I know what I'm doing. So think about that. Use separate bank accounts for personal and business stuff. You'll thank me for this later, as I found when I started off as a sole trader and everything went through my personal bank account, and then having at the end of the year or the end of 2 years to talk to my accountant which was personal and which was a business purchase. So start from now. If you know you're serious about business, ensure you separate them from now. It's not hard to just ask your bank and they'll be thankful for the business. I'd like to think. I'm not sure if since COVID anything has changed, but in my time when I did it, when I started a few years ago, it was, you could open a business account. Get all contracts legally checked before signature. Again, you will never read every paragraph you ought to read. And the one that's going to cost you most money will be the one you miss. So if you're looking at property, go to a property lawyer or whoever, go to someone in the property business. If you're dealing with accountancy, whatever it is, get the right person on the job. It will cost you, but believe you me, you'll save a lot more in the long run. Never forget your competitors. There's nothing that you offer that nobody else does or some version of it. And clients can easily go, especially now, elsewhere for business. So whatever you offer must have some sort of additional value for money. Is it the quality? Is it you're offering two for the price of one? Whatever it is it easy to get hold of you? Is it, are you doing free returns? Whatever it is, don't go bankrupt with all these offers. Just find something that creates a niche for you. Remembering that the niche is never usually your product. It's all the things that go along with your product. Budget for unforeseen stuff. I hate to say it, shit happens. Excuse my French. Everything and anything can happen on Monday morning that you were not expecting. And you almost need to just set aside an emergency account for those things, that bill that just suddenly appears that you forgot about, or that piece or that material you need to order in order to create your ring or your chain or whatever it is you're doing, and you have no money to do it. If you have cash flow problems, people will soon root you out, and they will soon suss this, and they'll stop providing you with stuff. So you need to start having a sort of slush fund for these sorts of emergency, where you can try and anticipate things ahead of time. Again, shit happens, it really does. And I'm thinking about, if you can see that something is happening with your lease and it's running out and you need to start, and you may lose your property or your space that you're working in 5 months, don't wait till 5 months or the day before to deal with it. Start talking to your landlord now. Start doing these things in advance, because you can anticipate some things and you could mitigate the problem or make it go away or whatever it is long before it actually turns up in your inbox. Because I'm sure many of you have got times where you think, oh my gosh, I could have done that. If I'd done this last week, I wouldn't be in the position I am in now. See things where you can ahead. Some things are still gonna happen, but try, if you have 100 things that can happen, try and get rid of 75%, then you're only surprised by 25. Join local associations, the Chamber of Commerce, business networks, FSB, which is a small business advisory organization. They will cost you, but sometimes they don't cost as much if you're a sole trader or a business with a small number of employees. Believe me, the stuff and information you get is going to help you. I remember during COVID, I was a member of, and I still am, of the Hounslow Chamber of Commerce. And they provide me with so much information on grants that are available, grants that I could be applying for. Every time the government changes something, and you knew at that time it was every hour, a new thing that has come out that you could apply for, things that you weren't entitled to, and so forth, and just giving you updates on the new laws and so forth. They're excellent value for money. Some of them are free, some of them are not. At the very least, apply for their newsletters, because you may not need to be a member of it, though I would advise you to do so, but they're always sending out newsletters on something, updating you on something. So there we go. It is very useful intel. And sign up for as many free, and I say free, they're free because someone else is paying for them, training courses and mentorship opportunities as possible. This has worked so well for our company, and we do a lot of better business and have better working practices and business practices and have more contacts just by, as I said, meeting Noza on a training course in finance. And our relationship has grown and expanded over the years in so many beneficial ways. Thank you, Noza. Now, I know this seminar is aimed at women, and there's certain things that we need to be aware of that just affects us women. And the first thing is that our opinion and leadership qualities matter. Just don't be gaslighted. People have a way of looking at you and thinking, well, you're only a woman. And I've got to tell you like it is. It happens. There's no getting away from it. If you have a good opinion, you have a good business idea, do not let someone gaslight you out of it. They might be looking to take that idea away from you and trying to get into their own business. So be aware of things like that. If it's not your business, i.e. you're employed by another company and you're a woman, your opinion still matters. Don't be shy about sharing it politely. Don't get into the arguments over what you're wearing, what you dress, what your hairstyle. It will happen. You just need to bat it away and move on. I work from home and I've been doing it for years, but it can be difficult. First thing of all is the concept is this concept. People think that you're at home watching TV and eating cake and drinking tea. You haven't got time. And if you can find the time, I'd love you to tell me how you do it, because I never have the time. I look at less TV than anybody in my own house. But while working at home is great and you can choose your hours and all that sort of thing, be aware of the constant and varied distractions. If you have children, they'll be in and out of the door. They'll be looking to be fed. Your partner might be coming here looking for a hot meal. Those are the things that some men just don't have to worry about. Many men don't have to worry about. But in your milieu, this is what the kind of laundry. I could walk from here into the kitchen to have a cup of tea, be distracted by the dishwasher. the laundry, the this, the that, there's all sorts of things. The guys turning up the door with parcels. It just goes on. And every time you come back to your desk, you've forgotten where you were, what you were doing, and you've moved on to something else and not forgotten the last thing. So be aware of that. I make notes all the time because I have to refer back to them. Avoid the distractions, too many ideas, especially other people's dreams. What happens? People say, if I were you, I would do this, that, and the other. And you're making pink necklaces and blue necklaces, or you are writing a book on this, that, and the other. And someone goes, well, if I were you, I would write on this other thing. And why don't you include that? And da, 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 da. It might be something that they never got to do, that they're trying to live through you. Again, I refer back to my first point, or one of the first points I make. Do what you do it well, know who you are, know what you do, and know what you want to do. Accept advice, look at it, screen it, pick out the good stuff, park the stuff that needs to be done later, and get rid of the rest. And don't be feeling guilty of telling people, no, that simply won't work for you. It will save you time and money in the long run. Always remember, we all know this, women have to work harder, longer, and we face much more obstacles than men. I hate to say that. But you know what? Don't let anyone rain on your parade. And it might not be a man raining on your parade. It could be another woman. I hate to say it could be your mother. You never know when the next idea is going to strike. So keep a pen and a small pad nearby, in your bedside table, a bag, kitchen, toilet, really. Because you suddenly have this ping idea and you think, I should be doing this, or I should do yellow, or I should write this, or whatever. And by the time you get to your desk, you've forgotten. So either write it down on something, or send a note to yourself, or take a picture. If you're looking at something, you think this is a great idea, take a picture of it on your phone. Just have a record of it somewhere. And always remember, you must get enough rest and sleep in order to put in a full day's work the next day. And remember, a full day's work for us is not just the business, it's all the other things at the side, looking after your home, looking after somebody else, blah, 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 blah. Our job and our roles are just huge. You have to carve out some me time for yourself. I am so sorry, that is someone interrupting me as I'm doing this Zoom. But carve out some me time or you will burn out. And if you ever want to contact me to talk about this, these are contact details. That's the end of my presentation. I hope you enjoyed it. And I'm going to have to leave to go answer my door.
Ruthann, thanks very much. It was a really good, practical and realistic presentation. So thank you very much. Now we only have a few more minutes. I can perhaps take one or two questions for both Nigel and Ruthann. So I don't know if you want to put it in the chat or your hands up. I think the chat may be best because of the way that we're working today. And I've got a little bit of information about funding at the end. So if anyone has got any questions, kindly put it in the chat and I can raise them now. Okay, I'll give you a couple of minutes. But no, both Nigel and I also want to thank you for the value proposition canvas and the sales enablement. And that coupled with what Ruthann is talking about, you know, actually both of you shared, how can I say, how it really is in the real business world. So thank you very much to Nigel for making it so simple and realistic. And again, Ruthann, thank you also for the practical steps. So I'm still looking to see if there's any questions in the chat, but there isn't any. So I'm going to quickly move on if that's okay. Nigel, is there a one tip or one piece of advice you'd like to leave with our guests today?
Yes, I think it's something that just reflects the key learning, which I hope would people take from the 50 minutes that I was talking, and it is simply this: how is the customer better off by engaging with you? Because if you don't know that, they sure as hell won't. And you need to know that in order to have a proposition that they will look at and potentially buy from you. How is the customer better off by engaging with you?
Thank you, Nigel. That is so real and so, you know, it's a very good tip. So thanks very much. Ruthann, would you like to share another tip? I know you've gone off screen, but do you have a
I'd just like to say, I did say quite a lot of stuff, and I hope that you will gather from it or take the bits that work for you, not everything that works for me, and believe and understand that mine is based on years. I didn't have all of this knowledge when I started out, but it's over years and years of doing stuff, working with my partner and having to sometimes, like rein him in or tell him, what I'm saying matters too, and all that sort of stuff. You will have that going on. But the good and positive thing about it is that we women rock. We can do and move mountains, and we can do businesses by ourselves or with the help of other people. So go forth and do.
Thanks very much. Thank you. So again, thank you, Nigel, and thank you, Ruth Ann, for contributing tonight. I know it's quite valuable to everybody that listened. Okay, so now I've just got one more announcement to make, and it is to do with funding. And within Brent, there is a fund called You Decide. It's a significant grant funding opportunity for all constituted groups and organisations in Brent. The deadline for application is Friday, the 20th of May. Okay, and for organisations, and we're talking about businesses as well, you can apply for up to £50,000 for physical and social infrastructure projects, and it's funded by the NCIL, which stands for Neighbourhood Community Infrastructure Levy. And what's interesting about this funding, it actually allows residents within Brent to actually take part. Okay, so they're the ones that will actually make the final decision. There's also little small pots of money within there. You can apply for up to £10,000 for health and wellbeing projects to help a particular group of Brent residents. If you feel, that that's what you want to do, that's the Brent Health Matter funded, or you can apply for both. Applications are sought for small and large projects with creative ideas. So if you've got any local issues or any challenges that you feel need to be tackled within the borough, put a proposal together and actually apply. Okay, and as I'll just say again, You Decide will not be decided by the council, but by residents. The residents will be invited to vote on the project ideas that they feel that they want to be funded in the area. And then your project idea, if selected, will go into a brochure for all the residents. And to tell you the truth, that's a fantastic way to promote your business. But then you'll have the opportunity to present your idea at what we call 5 decision days. And those 5 decision days will be between June the 18th and July. So yeah, within those 5 days, you'll come through and speak and pitch your idea once you've been selected. So as I said, it's a great way to promote your business. I will put a bit of information into the chat right now so that you can actually have the contact details. Okay, there you go. Let me find the right key to press. Okay, and again, you've got my email address. I put it in earlier. If not, I will contact all of you tomorrow to see if you want one-to-one business advice and also give you the details about the grant. So again, I want to say thank you to both Nigel and Ruth Ann for their presentation. Thanks also for you for actually taking the time out of your busy day to be here this evening. And I look forward to actually connecting with you again on the 24th of May for our next webinar, which is based around LinkedIn. So thank you very much to everyone. Thanks again, Nigel, and good night. Thank you.